Hello, hello. Welcome to another webinar with me on social Wi-Fi and the things that we can do for your business. Let's see how many people join us this week. Our focus is, as you will have seen, about how you can capture customer data the right way. So, yeah, hopefully a good one, because it's a difficult topic for a lot of businesses. With the different laws and things that you can and can't do. So I'll go through some things like what's the law on this? How can you do things that are kind of clever but within the law? And I'll show you how social Wi-Fi can help you with this kind of stuff. We'll give it a little bit more time, just let some other people join us. But whilst we're waiting, let me know where you are watching from in the world. And I'm going to make myself smaller. That's better. I'm hoping that we get some people from America, because in this one I'm covering off some of the American laws as well. So like I said, we're going to take a look at what are the rules, and I'm going to touch on GDPR and CCPA mostly, but these are very similar to other laws around the world, such as POPI in South Africa. But it does seem that a lot of countries are just following the GDPR regulations from the European Union. So, I mean, that's what we use as a base template for our data protection policies. So that, they are often bundled into the rules of other countries. Then I'm going to move on to a topic of being honest with your customers and how you can get them to agree to opt in to communication. We'll take a look at social Wi-Fi, our product, how that can help you capture that data in a compliant manner. And then I'll touch on how you can get started with social Wi-Fi if, after watching this webinar, you are interested in signing up and taking part in our 2-week free trial. See how it works for your business, and hopefully from there you'll become a paying customer. Okay. So what are the rules? There are two main ones that I've written down here. I could have picked many different ones from around the world, but they're generally very similar. And hopefully you'll see it in this example of these two. So the California Consumer Privacy Act, the main things there's more to these than the 3 points I put here. But for the purposes of social Wi-Fi and the kind of things that you'd be wanting to do, these are the things that I've pulled out that are most important. So the Californian rules are that a customer has the right to know what personal information you have about a customer, how that's being used, and how it's going to be shared. Now, that's a big distinction here, the shared element in California, because in the European Union regulations, the sharing, you have to explicitly consent to the sharing. So slight difference there, but everything else at the beginning is key. And remember this as we move forward. Everyone has the right to have their personal information deleted. There are some exceptions, but generally the kind of information we'd be gathering for marketing purposes, a customer would have the right for that data to be deleted. And they also have the right to opt out of the sale of personal data. So again, this rule's slightly different in America, but if you don't want your data to be sold to third-party companies, you can opt out of that. General Data Protection Regulation, or the GDPR as it's better known, is the regulations from the European Union. They've been in force for over 3 years now. And there was a lot of noise about this when it was due to come in. But a bit like the Millennium Bug, everyone prepared for it. Everyone was panicking, what's going to happen. It was implemented, and then really nothing, not too much happened. But the European Union is taking it seriously, and some notable cases against Google and Facebook are ongoing. I think maybe parts of them have been resolved, but some big fines are being spoken about for some of the big hitters. But doesn't mean that the smaller businesses as well won't be looked at. So what do they say? You have the right to know what personal information a business has about you and how it's being used. So the same as the Californian rules. You have the right to be forgotten. Again, the same as point 2 on the Californian rules. And point 3 is really important. You have the right to freely give opt-in. So it used to be that you had the right to opt out and you were automatically opted in. The difference now is you have to explicitly opt in to marketing communications. And for the purpose of this, you are not allowed to use things like pre-ticked checkboxes. These kind of sneaky things that people thought they would be able to do. You have to give people the option of opting in, but with no, how can I phrase this? Not nudging them in that direction. So a tick box, which is already ticked saying I opt in, is not allowed. That has to be blank to begin with. And vice versa, if you're going to try to do some reverse work on that, that's not going to work either. So all of that leads to social Wi-Fi basically operating under the GDPR, because of all of them and the 2 that we've just seen, this is the most strict. If in the European Union, you cannot sell data anyway, so we don't include that. The right to freely opt in is more is more strict than in America. So the GDPR is what we use as our base framework for getting for capturing data compliantly, and therefore it's our belief that that will be sufficient wherever you are in the world. And it's also worth noting that even if you're in a part of the world that is not within the European Union and that doesn't have its own regulations on this kind of thing, the likelihood is you still need to abide by the GDPR, because the GDPR doesn't just apply to businesses that are based in the European Union or businesses that operate in the European Union. It also includes businesses around the world that will have the information on European Union citizens. So if, for example, you are a hotel in Bali, you're not within the European Union. However, the likelihood is you're going to have guests traveling to you from the European Union. They're citizens of the European Union. Therefore, you are obliged to act within the frameworks of the European Union regulation of the GDPR. So it's generally good and ethical to have these kind of regulations in place. But yeah, just in case you were thinking, well, I'm not within the EU, my business isn't in California, this doesn't apply to me. Unfortunately, I think you'll find that you are wrong. So after this slide, I'm going to move on to the social Wi-Fi dashboard and show you visually how we are doing this. But I want to give you some general advice that we find is very good for getting more people to opt in and get into your email databases. So the first thing that we believe very strongly is you need to respect your customers. They know that they have the right to opt out. They're aware of these things because over the last decade, data protection and how a customer's data is being used has been really at the forefront of people's minds. Things like the election in America in 2016, there was a huge element of people becoming aware of their data on things like Facebook, for example. People know that they can opt out. They know that they can be forgotten. So Tell your customers how you're going to contact them and tell them why you're going to contact them. Make it clear what's in it for them. What kind of communication are they going to receive from you if they opt in? Be honest. Are you going to be sending them offers? Are you going to be sending them promotions that you have? Will it be about events that you have upcoming? If you let them know, not in small letters either, make it explicitly clear why you want to keep in touch with them. Why do we want your email address or your phone number? People assume they're just going to get put into a mass mailing bucket and they're going to get sent, emails generic. That's going to go to everyone. But if you can be a bit more specific about what's in it for them, they're more likely to opt in. And like I say, I've put here, don't be shady, but make it explicit. Don't just hide it in the small print. What you're going to do? Say, look, we'd love to keep in touch with you and tell you about our upcoming events. That's a really good way of getting people to opt in, rather than just saying, please opt into marketing communication. At least the person knows what they're going to be opting in for. So, have that respect for the customer. You're asking for their permission that you can send them communication, and they can very easily say no. So give them a reason to opt in. That's the best advice that I can give. And when in a moment we look at the social Wi-Fi system, I'll show you how you can make that nice and explicit. So let me switch my screen to not my face, but the social Wi-Fi dashboard. So I flick this over, just grab some water. Okay. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is the specific page in the social Wi-Fi login process about opting in. There are a few things here that I will draw your attention to. First of all, I'm going to be looking to the side because I've got a second screen here, so I'm not looking at the camera anymore. But first of all, this is the social Wi-Fi dashboard. This is our drag and drop editor where you can customize the content on this page. And you will notice that there's nothing on here about social Wi-Fi, certainly visually. The logo is one of a client. The background image is the image of a client. So firstly, we are making this page branded to the business where the person that is opting in is. So they're familiar. It's not some third party that's gathering this data. It's the business that they are actually physically in right now asking for permission to capture that data. If I put these grid lines back on, if I click on anything here, I can change that artwork. So I could upload a different logo for a different client. Likewise with this background image, I could upload something else. So this is fully customizable with your own artwork. Now, this phrasing wording here, we care about your privacy. This is social Wi-Fi's default wording. But if you want to change that to something else that's a bit more personal or reflects your brand a bit better, you can just type over here and change what this says. So for example, let's stay in contact. Very simple. It's a drag and drop creator like you have probably used with email marketing tools in the past. Beneath here, by default, we're putting this wording, stay in touch with us and find out more about the best offers. Again, you can change that. You could make this font bigger if you want. Put in here what you want. We're trying to get you started with some default wording. Go really explicit, make it red, make it different colors. Add shadow onto that to make it stand out on the background a bit better. But everything here is customizable, and you can add additional language packs as well. So if you want to add in, can I search by typing here? Yes. So if you want to add in Spanish, for example, you can. If you want, you can add as many of these as you want. And what we do is we detect the language that a user's device is, and we'll present the login page that reflects that. If they're using, for example, Punjabi, like we have here, and you've not got a Punjabi language login page, we'll just default it back to English. So no need to worry about that. Now, one of the key things I mentioned earlier is it has to be a user has to freely opt in to the Wi-Fi. So as a default, social Wi-Fi has a slider for opt-in and opt-out of communication. So what we have here above it is legal wording. We have two fields here, and this is our standard default wording, which you should be good with. Well, you will be good with if you only use this wording here. However, as you've seen previously, you can add more to this, you can delete it, you can edit this. It's entirely up to you, but this wording is enough for you to be compliant with the relevant laws. So, as I said, if I want to delete all of that, I can. If I want to write over the top of it, I can. If I want to add more wording, I can. This is extremely flexible to suit your needs, but we're giving you a lot of things here to get you started. Now, this slider, if a user swipes right, they are opting in. If they swipe left, they're opting out. And we just put a little thing here at the bottom, say, are you sure you want to opt out? Sorry, we say, are you sure you don't want to stay in touch? You can change this to a button, and you can style that button as much as you want. You could make it red if you want. That's probably not a good idea. Red looks bad. You could make it green. But again, you can have a button, and there's another smaller button beneath it saying, I don't want to stay in touch. However, we've done the research on this over the last 3 years with various venues of our clients. And the data shows us that the venues that have the slider, they get more opt-ins for email marketing. Now, we don't know exactly why that is, but our theory internally is it's to do with a Tinder generation who are just used to swiping right. We're not sure, but that's the story that we're going with. And the data backs it up. If you use the slider, you're going to get a higher percentage of people opting in. So I'd recommend using that, but if you prefer, you can use the button. So that's how we are getting people to opt in. And let me show you how this would look like in practice. So I've just saved that. I've made some changes here. I want to show you what someone would see if they go through the login process now. For the social Wi-Fi dashboard, we can generate a download login. And this is the login page for the venue that I'm using here. I've got Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and just an email login option. Facebook login doesn't work on macOS because of the way Apple have developed their captive portal system, but it'll work on all other devices. And if I just select, let's go with email here. So if I log in with webinar.socialwifi.com. Oh, it's remembered me from the webinar I did last week. That's quite nice. So last week I opted in and already used the login system, and this email address is already opting in to use of data. Can I go back and start again? Let me try a different email. Let me cancel the Twitter login. Trying to think now of an email I've not used. Success. So this is a good tangent actually. If somebody has previously opted in at one of the venues that you manage, we won't ask them to opt in again. It's a one-time thing. Do you want to opt in? If they say yes, we're not going to ask them again. So nice seamless login process there. In this case, the email address I've just used is the first time. And this wording here, I don't know if you can see this, but we're dropping in your name into the legal wording here. So this says, I agree for my personal data, blah, 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 to be processed by beachfront restaurants for marketing purposes. And if your business name was called Posh Hotel Limited, it would say that instead of beachfront restaurant. We have placeholders here that puts your information here that is relevant to what the customer needs to know. So like I say, if I swipe left, I get this additional prompt at the bottom. Are you sure you don't want to stay in touch? If I swipe to the right, say successfully accepted, and I go to the success page, which in this case has a nice 2-for-1 Mondays promotion. And I think if I click that, I'm going to go to our pricing page, which I guess I can touch on because I'm going to come on in a moment to how do you get started. But if you're interested, hopefully you're interested in getting started with social Wi-Fi. If you're what we call a small business, a small medium enterprise, a restaurant, a coffee shop, cafe, bar, that kind of thing, and you have one location, you're looking at $49 per month. And you can pay annually for a discount. If you're a hotel, we base the pricing on the number of rooms that you have. And if you go to socialwifi.com/pricing, you can use our pricing calculator, use a slider to add the amount of rooms that you have, and you'll get a price. And once again, you could pay annually for a discount. And if you're enterprise, if you're something bigger, shopping mall, stadium, an airport, that kind of thing, get in touch with us. We'll ask you a few questions and we'll come back to you with a formal quote for you to consider. But let's just go back to the dashboard from that little tangent we took right there. That's how we will make somebody get their email address into your database. And I'm not going to click this tab because I don't want to show any private data of users. But within the user data tab, you are going to see all of the email addresses that we have captured of your customers. And it's not just email addresses. If people log in using Facebook or Twitter, we're going to capture things like their first name, their surname, their date of birth, their hometown. We're also logging things like how many times have they visited? What was the date of their first visit? When was their most recent visit? A lot of information that we're capturing that's going to help you aggregate that, put that into your other marketing tools, send emails from social Wi-Fi. There's a lot of other things that we're doing. Take a look at our archive of previous webinars. Take a look on YouTube at the other videos that we have on the things that you can do with social Wi-Fi. And of course, look at our website. It's going to tell you a lot of things about what you can do, why you would want to do it, what benefits you're going to see for doing that. So yeah, there's a lot more to the social Wi-Fi dashboard. But because this is a webinar purely on capturing data, I'm not going to go through other parts of the system. Though, if you want me to, write in the comments the kind of questions that you have on your mind, the kind of things that you would like to see. And because we're good for time, I can give us a click through those kind of things. So write in the comments if there's anything extra that you would like me to look at whilst we have the time on this call. But now I've shown you how we're capturing data, how we're doing that within the rules. I guess I should tell you what you need in order to get started with us. If you've watched this and you thought, you know what, I want to find out about how I can get started with social Wi-Fi. It's a very simple process. You need to find out about your Wi-Fi equipment. So we're most interested in the router that you have and the Wi-Fi access points that you have. And the Wi-Fi access points are also called extenders and repeaters by people. But these are things that are mounted on the ceiling. They're mounted high up on the wall. And basically, they connect back to the router and they just extend the range of your network. So if you have a big hotel, you have one router, but you have many of these access points that are making the area covered even larger. We need to know what they are. We definitely need to know the brand And if you can, find out the model. And if you're not sure, take some pictures and send them to us. Send them to us. We'll have a look. You also need a transparent background logo and your website. With this, we can set all of the branding for you on your login pages, like I've just shown you in the presentation. We can create the branding for your emails and so on and so forth. Another good idea is to put us in touch with the person that would do the Wi-Fi setup. So maybe that's your IT manager, maybe that's a third-party company that you have that manages your Wi-Fi network or your IT infrastructure. It's a good idea to put us in touch with that person, and I'll just correct my typo. Put us in touch with that person because we can share with them all the information that they need. Maybe they have questions that they want answering before things move forward, and we'll be happy to have a conversation with them and put them on the right track. And then finally, you just need to activate your dashboard account. So if you get in touch with us with this information, we'll create your venue, we'll create your branding for you, and you'll just have to activate the dashboard account, which is an email from us. You set a password, and then you'll be able to log into Social Wi-Fi web dashboard, which I've just been demonstrating, and you'll be able to see everything we've created and do many more different things. And you can find information on the kind of things you can do in our academy, more on the YouTube channel, but also by speaking to us. You can arrange a one-to-one demo like this, and we'll be happy to take you through the process. And that's about it. That's my last slide. So I'm really hoping that this wasn't a long webinar, less than 30 minutes, I think. So I hope that's been concise, touching on what the rules are, how you can operate within those rules. I was really keen to show you how social Wi-Fi do stay within those rules. Sorry. And yeah, if you want to get started with us, it couldn't be simpler. So there's an email address there, contact@socialwifi.com. Get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to arrange a call and get you started. So that's it for now. Any final questions, add them in the comments. I'll answer them, but otherwise, I'll wrap this up. I'll wrap this up here. Okay, I don't think we've got anything coming in, so thanks for joining, and hopefully see you on the next one next week. Take care.